Okay, we're going to go into slicing foils. So we did the weaving foils where we weaved back and forth, and that'll give you far less highlights, much more subtle, much more natural. But if your client wants to have something that's a little heavier for their highlights, you can do something called slicing. Now I'm just going to take a small section, about 1 centimeter, and when you do slicing, the more common place to do slicing, or where I tend to do slicing, is up on top. I don't usually do slicing on the bottom, although I will show you how to do slicing. But when you're doing slicing up here, you're coloring this whole section. So when it falls, it will fall in more of a chunking highlight pattern all down here. And I'll have some pictures to show you what the difference between slicing and weaving will be. So in this one, when you're doing slicing, you're taking that whole section. So this is by far much easier than the, oops, I'm just going to move, I have a clip that's in my way here. When you're doing slicing, this is much easier than the weaving. However, it's not a desired look for everybody. It's a much more dramatic effect. And again, don't put this right down to the scalp, just right to the end of the foil, but don't be touching the scalp. Otherwise, you're going to be getting that line of demarcation. You're going to be coloring right from root to the end. Make sure that you have a nice even application, that the color is, you've got enough color on in there. And then the same process for folding. You can fold your foil up. If you need to fold your foil twice, go right ahead. And then you can fold your foil in. And try the same thing. Try not to be pushing on this color, because if you're pushing on it, you're going to be squirting some color up and you're going to be having it bleed at the scalp. Okay, so there was one slicing, and then usually with slicing you'll leave out another slice of hair depending how much of this color they want in. Maybe it's actually, this section could be, you know, 2 centimeters, that kind of thing, wide. It can be much thicker than your slicing. And just with experimentation, you'll get to learn what each of the new looks is like. Then you can take another 1 centimeter or less section of hair, and you'll do the same slicing on this piece. If you wanted your highlights to be thicker than that 1 centimeter or less, if you really wanted some heavy, thick chunking, I don't recommend taking a larger section. What I recommend doing is doing back-to-back foils in these smaller sections, because it will prevent the bleeding down at the scalp, and it will give a much more even application, and you're not having to color so much hair within that foil. So if you wanted this to be thicker, this slicing pattern to be thicker, to ensure that your color is even and that you've got neatness of color in there, I would just do another section, another slicing section back to back. Okay, so you can fold up your foil. And then, of course, being careful not to squish on that color. You need to have room for the color to expand, and move on into your next section. So this is slicing, and you can continue doing this all up on the top head of the section. I'll move to the back and show you how you can do slicing in the back, and I'll show you the end effect that it'll give you as well. We're going to be doing slicing, but now we're doing slicing in the back. The reason on top we did our slicing with these horizontal sections, we're not going to do slicing in horizontal sections in the back, because really that just gives you one solid layer of color, another solid layer of color. It's not as natural of a fall, and it doesn't give you the chunking effect either. So when you're doing slicing in the back of the hair, and you still want that heavy chunking effect, I'll take out the hairline, but now what you're going to have to do in here, just going to clip this out of the way, is your sections for slicing are going to have to go vertical. And so the reason they're going to be vertical, I'm just going to clip that out of the way, is that when they fall, then you're going to have your highlights falling, coming down in the chunking pattern going this way. So you'll have your hair like this, and it's a little bit more difficult because gravity doesn't really want to help you out here with your foils. And you're going to come right in on the side of your client, and you're going to color this foil section. My foil is probably a little bit long for this. I could have used a shorter one for sure and helped myself out. Make sure that's nice and tight against the scalp. fold up your foil. Fold over your ends. Just to keep it neat. Don't push too much on there. And then your foil, your slicings here are going to be straight out this way. So on top where we had it, your foils were going horizontal, but here, yes, horizontal here, and down in the bottom, these are going to have to be going in a vertical direction. So then you'll have to take out a little bit more hair, leave out a section, and then you can go in one more time. And you can do slicing again for this section, so you'll have your foils going, your foils will be going vertically along the back.